Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to do kind of like a question and answer thing. I've got like 20 questions and I'm going to give you the answers to them, just kind of like a get to know me sort of video. I actually have a couple of these planned. There's this one, which is going to be just a general Q&A, and then I have one for like PlantTube with like planty questions, and my last one is for like BookTube, AuthorTube, and I'll be just answering questions about like books and writing and stuff like that. So yeah, so let's just jump into these 20 questions and let you get to know me better, I guess. Okay, so question number 1 is, what is your favorite plant? Do I have to pick just one? I have a few favorite plants right now, but one of my all-time favorites, and this is going to sound pretty lame considering the number of rare plants that I have in my collection, but my favorite plants are snake plants. The very first plant that I got was a snake plant. This isn't it. This is a newer one, and I don't know why I like them so much, but they're just so like structural. And they're so cool looking, and they get so big. Basically, for anyone who knows me in real life, if it's my birthday and you don't know what to get me, just get me a snake plant. They're super cheap, and I will love you for it. I have so many of them, but you can never have enough snake plants. I also really like this whale fin, which is also a snake plant. It's just got a big, thick leaf. Usually they come as like one leaf, but they grow with multiples and stuff. This one's pretty new. I only got this one in February. I think it was right before the pandemic. So yeah, I was pretty happy to get this one. I've also really been into this snow bush that I got. I almost killed it, and it's starting to come back. Like a few weeks ago, none of this was here. It was all just bare. All the leaves had fallen off. But I think it's just really pretty and delicate. And I can't wait to grow it into like a big tree. I'm also pretty obsessed with this eucalyptus. I have 2 of these right now. This is the taller one. I got these a couple months ago when I was out with my friend Sarah. We were plant shopping, and we saw these, and I've been looking for one of them forever. And today I actually just realized that it smells like eucalyptus oil, which I suppose makes sense because it's a eucalyptus, and where else would you get eucalyptus oil than from a eucalyptus? So it's pretty cool. I have this one outside right now, and I also can't wait for it to become like this big bushy tree. Okay, so the next question is, what is your favorite book? For a long time, my favorite book was The Silmarillion, which is kind of like the history of Middle-earth written by Tolkien. It's a nerdy book. It's not really written like a novel. It's almost written like a history textbook. Like, there's not a lot of dialogue. The stories are kind of told as if it is kind of just like a history book, and I just love it. I love reading the lore and the background behind Middle-earth and all that. So that was my favorite book for a long time. I also really like the book The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. It's pretty good. I eat up anything about Achilles and Patroclus, so there's that. I also really like the book The Color Midnight Made. It was one of the first fiction books that I bought. I bought it on Hilton Head Island in South Carolina at this little bookshop that used to be in like the Sea Pines Plantation, but it's no longer there. It's pretty good too. It's like a coming-of-age story. I also really like Tin Man, but I don't recommend you read it unless you want to be utterly destroyed for like a good couple of months, because that's what it did to me. Okay, so the next question, what is your favorite TV show? I don't really watch a lot of TV, to be honest. Yeah, there's not a whole lot. Like, I'm a casual watcher of some things. I like casually watched Modern Family, and like, what else was on TV? Like, it's Sunny in Philadelphia. Like, I watch them, but I wouldn't say they're like favorite shows of mine. Some of my favorites, actually most of my favorites, I think, aren't even on TV anymore. So Star Trek Deep Space Nine is like my favorite TV show that has ever been made and ever will be made, and it's the best Star Trek, hands down. I would say that my second favorite TV show is probably Star Trek: The Next Generation. I really like Star Trek. Well, I really like original Star Trek. Let me point that out. That being said, I'm not really a huge fan of like the original series. It's boring. Penny Dreadful is also a favorite series of mine. I haven't watched the new Penny Dreadful with Natalie Dormer, but the old one with Ava Green was like phenomenal. The writing in that, it gives me chills. Like, it's so well done. I also really like Adventure Time. You know, I love Adventure Time. It's so good. 30 Rock was my favorite comedy and probably still is my favorite comedy. It's really the only comedy that like I like. I think it's just really smart and really well done. And Tina Fey's hilarious. And so is Alec Baldwin. I just rewatched it actually at the beginning of this whole pandemic thing. And it's so good. I really liked Game of Thrones up until the last couple of seasons. Game of Thrones is really great, but they really dropped the ball, especially with the last season. I didn't have a problem with Daenerys going mad. She was my favorite character. I wanted to see her on the throne, but I liked how she went mad. I just wish that it had been drawn out more. And maybe, okay, if I had written Game of Thrones, I would have made her go mad, but I would have made Jon kind of her like grounding rock and would bring her back into herself, and they would like co-rule, even though they're related. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They were perfect together. So I also really like Schitt's Creek. I'm super sad that it is over now. I started watching in the second season. I live up here in Canada, so it's on Canadian TV, and it was always kind of a part of Canadian TV. And it's just, it was so good. I used to watch Dan Levy when he was on the After Show with Jesse Cruikshank on MTV. And yeah, I've been a fan of his since I was like a wee little guy. And you know, I grew up liking The OC and Gilmore Girls, and man, am I old. So the next question is, what is your proudest accomplishment? I'd have to say that this is my proudest accomplishment. This is the third book in a fantasy series that I wrote and am still writing. I don't have any copies of the first book. I actually have to order in some more of that. So this is the third, which is my favorite in the series so far. Yeah, it's a high fantasy, character-driven fantasy series that I've been talking about on this channel since I started like years ago. And you should definitely check it out. Okay, question number 5. We're only on number 5? Oh my gosh. Okay, so question number 5 is, what is your favorite movie? And I have a lot of them. So I would say my all-time favorite movie is Lost in Translation with Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson. Just something about the feeling that movie gives off is just, it's so touching and emotional, and I just love that. I also really like The Royal Tenenbaums, The Darjeeling Limited, The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. I'm a big Wes Anderson fan. I really like Howl's Moving Castle and Spirited Away. I also really like Studio Ghibli movies. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is a favorite. I really like Equals for some reason. I'm a big fan of Kirsten Stewart, even though she did Twilight and she wasn't that good in Twilight, but she's a phenomenal actress, and if you watch some of her other stuff, like, she's really good. And of course I like the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies. Even though the Hobbit movies aren't as good, it's still, you know, it's Middle Earth, it's the Lord of the Rings, and I eat that shit up. And I love Star Wars. I was introduced to the original series when I was young, and then I think a couple years later, The Phantom Menace came out, so I grew up on the prequel trilogy, and I like the prequel trilogy. I mean, watching them now, they don't hold up at all. But there's still like this weird place in my heart for the prequels. As far as what Disney's done with it, I'm not too pleased. I mean, it's getting to the point, and with Star Trek as well, where like there's nothing I can do about it. So these franchises are just getting like run over and oversaturated, and they're not really caring too much about what they do with them. And so I'm learning to kind of just like let them go, which really sucks because they were such huge parts of my like development growing up. But you gotta do what you gotta do. That being said, though, I really like Rogue One. Rogue One is probably my favorite Star Wars movie, just because they all die at the end. And, like, when do you ever see that, where all the heroes die at the end? Like, it's just so emotional and so well done. And that last scene with, like, Vader, it's really good. There's also a movie that I really like called Tale of Tales, and it's, like, a bunch of little fairy tales. Put together. I think Salma Hayek and John C. Reilly are like the big names in that movie, and it's really good too. I definitely suggest checking that one out. I don't think a lot of people have seen that one, but it's really good. Okay, so the next question 6. This video is going to be super long, and I apologize. Who is your favorite author? Well, Tolkien, I really like. I also really like Robin Hobb, even though I find some of her character relationships to be problematic, especially from an LGBT plus lens. But that being said, her writing style is phenomenal. Her stories are great, and her characters are just, they're heartfelt and they're emotional. I really like her writing. Question number 7. Have you ever had a nickname? I have, actually. In high school, there was a group of kids who used to call me Songmaster. And this is not because I write music or anything, but in grade 9, we had to do like get to know each other, and we had to say like one thing that we liked and stuff. And I stood up and I said that I really liked music at the time. And this girl in the back, her name was Taylor, she like squealed and she went Songmaster. And from that point on, I like answered to Songmaster, and then it got shortened to just Song, and a bunch of them would call me Song, and I would answer to that. So that's like really the only nickname that I can remember having, but it's an interesting one. Question number 8. What is your favorite board game? Again, it's hard to pick just one. I really like Settlers of Catan. I even made my own Settlers of Catan board. I'll post a picture of it over here. I also really like this game called Gloom, where you have these cards, this like family of like miserable characters, and you're basically trying to make their lives as miserable as possible and then kill them off, and then you get the negative points, and it's kind of like golf, the lowest points wins. And it's really fun. You like tell a story as you play the game, and as an author that really appeals to me. I also like Season of Heroes. That is what we call a plug. Season of Heroes is the fantasy board game that I've been building for the last year with my team H&H Games. There's links to that down below, and it's really exciting. We're nearing the end of the development phase, and yeah, it's a pretty exciting time for that. I also really like Root. It's this cute little game with like really amazing artwork, and in the game you play as different factions, and each faction plays differently, which is a really interesting mechanic. So that's a really fun one. I also really like Villainous, despite it being Disney, which is in and of itself villainous. Number 9, what is your favorite video game? World of Warcraft. That's it, hands down, World of Warcraft. I play it every day. I really like it. I main a Blood Elf Hunter. I'm looking forward to Shadowlands. I've been playing since the end of Wrath of the Lich King. Yeah, I've been playing since the end of Wrath of the Lich King. I know that's not going to mean like anything to most of you, but it's a while. It's like 10 years almost, I think. And yeah, I really like it. I love the story. I've loved every expansion. Yeah, it's great. Also, Sylvanas for the win. Question number 10, what is your favorite animal? I've got a few again. I really like stags, so like deer. I just like their horns and their like presence and their meaning and everything. I also really like foxes. My dog kind of looks like a fox. I think they're super cute and sneaky and wily, and I just love that about their nature. I also really like wolves. So just a lot of canines. Historically, okapi have been my favorite animal. They're pretty cool. And shoe bills are also like weirdly terrifying, but also pretty cool too. I've been wanting to include them in our board game somehow, but I haven't figured out how to do that yet. Question number 11, what is your Pokemon team? Okay. Definitely Vaporeon. Vaporeon's my favorite Pokemon. Melodic, also water type, but Melodic is also my like second favorite Pokemon. Luxray, Luxray might be my second favorite Pokemon. Well, okay, it would definitely include those three. And then also Musharna. I've used Musharna a lot. I like Musharna. Decidueye, if I had to pick a starter Pokemon, because owls are just cool. And Deerling, because Deerling is so cute and like useless, but super cute. Question number 12, if you could share a meal with 4 people, living or dead, who would they be? That's an interesting question. So Alexander the Great, always. I think Alexander the Great is super interesting. I just love reading about him. Marie Antoinette, another favorite historical figure of mine. I just have a lot of sympathy for her, which is kind of weird because I shouldn't. But I just think her story is so tragic and beautiful. And Kirsten Dunst plays her in Marie Antoinette, and she's so good at it. Josephine de Beauharnais, who was Napoleon's wife. She was the Empress of France for a while. I must have a thing for France. I don't really think, she's not, prolific or anything, but I definitely think her story is very interesting, and I think there's a lot of heartbreak there, and definitely a lot of character... I could pick stuff from it and create a really interesting character from. And lastly, probably King David, from the Bible, mostly so I can just be like, how's Jonathan? Question number 13, introvert or extrovert? I am an introverted extrovert, so I am primarily introverted. I like to be alone. I like to spend my time alone. But when I'm in an extroverted setting, I'm very outgoing. I can talk to whoever I want. I'm very sociable. However, I get worn out easily, and I need days to recover from social encounters. It's not because I don't like them or don't like people. It's just I think it's because I'm also an empath, and having everybody's emotions thrown at me, it's just... And being an introvert, I don't know. It's exhausting. Question number 14. Who are your favorite singers or bands? Okay, so I always say that I have 4 top favorites that I kind of cycle through in seasons, which is kind of weird. So in the winter, I listen to a lot of Frank Ocean. In the spring, I listen to a lot of Sufjan Stevens for some reason. Actually, I listen to Sufjan Stevens all the time. During the summer, I listen to a lot of Lana Del Rey. She's one of my favorites, probably my favorite out of all of them. And then in the fall, I listen to a lot of The National, which is a really great band, really moody. I really like their stuff as well. Some honorable mentions, though: Broken Social Scene, Lord, Richard Wagner. Gotta love Richard Wagner. Lorena McKennitt, the Yeah, Florence and the Machine. Future Islands is really good. So I like some music. Number 15, Star Trek or Star Wars. I think I kind of answered that. Both, except old Star Wars and old Star Trek. Don't like New Trek. I like Picard, but that's because, Jean-Luc Picard is the best. What is your favorite color? This color. And this color. Number 17, what is your favorite quote?
I wish none of this had happened.
So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us.
Best quote ever. Number 18, are you a cat person or a dog person? I'm a dog person. This is Cece. I'm a dog person. Number 19, what is your sign? I'm an Aquarius. That's why I don't like anyone. Number 20, celebrity crushes. My celebrity crushes are a little weird because I don't really think they accurately represent who I'm attracted to. But Scarlett Johansson and Natalie Portman are like my two biggest celebrity crushes. Actually, that's a lie. They're hot, but nobody beats Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling is so hot. Also, David Castaneda is pretty hot too. Just gonna throw that out there. Bonus question. Interesting facts about you. That's not really a question. What are some interesting facts about you? That'd be a question. I'm a type 1 diabetic. I don't know if that's interesting, but lots of people have diabetes, but type 1s only make up 5% of that population. So I guess that's kind of unique, I guess. I don't know. There's lots of type 1 diabetics. Something more interesting, though, is I have 2 uvula. I don't know if I can show you. Oh, that's kind of gross looking at that. I apologize. And there you have it. There's 20 questions that I answered and took a very long time doing so. But I also want to get to know you guys. So I want you to answer a couple questions in the comments below. First, I want you to answer a really easy one. What's your favorite movie? And also post an interesting fact about you. And we can all get to know each other better. And yeah, see you in the next one. Thanks again for watching. Remember to like and subscribe for similar content. On Mondays, I post videos about houseplants. And on Fridays, I also post videos about houseplants. And reading, writing, photography, art, and any other generic interests of mine. As always, you can find my social media links in the description below. Also, you can find links to H&H Games, the board game company I've helped create, and our debut board game, Season of Heroes. You can also find the Amazon links to my fantasy series, A Chronicle of Crowns. Thanks for watching. Bye!